Have you ever felt that the more you think, the less you seem to fit in? Just like if intelligence, instead of being a gift, were some kind of social curse. Schopenhauer talked a lot about this. Intelligent people often end up unsettling society, not because they do anything wrong, but because without meaning to, they expose the shortcomings of others. That's very different from what happens when you see someone with a beautiful body or someone who has a lot of money. You might feel envy, but you don't feel personally attacked by that person. But when you're faced with someone intellectually superior, the mirror effect kicks in. Your own limitations are reflected back at you, and that bruises the ego. That's why in a group conversation, if you say something even slightly deeper, the whole atmosphere shifts and people get uncomfortable. It's not that you're attacking anyone, but just thinking differently is enough to disturb the room. Almost like if your presence itself were a mirror showing people what they don't want to see about themselves. And here's where it gets funny, or maybe tragic. To be accepted, we often have to disguise ourselves, pretend we don't know as much, laugh at silly jokes, stick to shallow topics, basically act dumber than we really are. Because let's be honest, being too smart can be seen as a threat. Psychology even has a name for this, the Dunning-Kruger effect. It shows that the less someone knows, the more they think they know everything. Meanwhile, truly intelligent people usually experience the opposite. They realize how much there is still left to learn. In other words, the least prepared think they're geniuses, while the best prepared constantly feel they don't know enough. Now, combine that with today's society. Most people don't want depth, they want comfort. Intelligence makes you think, question, and step out of your comfort zone. That's why instead of being valued, it's often rejected. History is full of examples. Socrates, Galileo, Tesla, people ahead of their time who were ignored, mocked, or even persecuted during their lives, only to be celebrated later. Therefore, it seems society prefers mediocrity because it doesn't scare anyone. But intelligence, that unsettles people because it forces them to confront their own limitations and often brings the very thing power structures fear most, change. So if you sometimes feel out of place, understand this. It doesn't mean you're wrong. The problem is that the world doesn't always know how to handle those who think differently. And that's why, at times, we have to play the game, simplify, hold back, even pretend ignorance. Not because you're less, but because not every environment is ready for your depth of thought. In the end, the secret might be finding the right spaces, people who want to listen, who are also searching for something beyond the obvious. Because real intelligence isn't about feeling superior, it's about never stopping the pursuit of learning. And don't forget that mediocrity is safe, but intelligence is power.